week 2 of Mr. Newman and Mr. Hill tag teaming. What we, like how lucky you guys. Trying to give as much value, breakthroughs, maybe insights, shifts for you in terms of like health and fitness. So this week we put it out to the people. We wanted to know what people struggle with the most. So we give them options: mindset, nutrition, exercise habits, a few other things. And the biggest thing that most people voted for was for mindset. So we're going to rock and roll and go in on mindset. Morning, Mr. Hill.
Morning, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's absolutely peeing it down. You know, we're British, got to talk about the weather first. But yeah, good. You?
Yeah, it's the same here. It's well, I live in Yorkshire. Apologies, I've got a bit of a noisy moment with people going past in a minute. I live in Yorkshire, so this is like normal. This is basically, we have about 30 minutes of summer, kind of one day in July, and that's about it.
Well, I'm sunny Portsmouth, so you know summer's normally good, but today absolutely peeing it down. But what do you expect? It's mid-November, so all right. So yeah, like I said, we're rocking and rolling with mindset today. So look, guys, we're just going to vibe this and just freestyle what we believe to be the biggest things to look at when it comes to your mindset and everyone's mindset around health and fitness. So first up, I'd say, like, what does mindset mean to you, Tom? Let's go there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a funny one because I would say a few years ago I wouldn't have a clue what it was or what it meant or whether it meant anything. And it is a word that was bandied around a lot kind of in different places. And can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
There's
a little bit of background noise, but I think we're cool.
That's all right. It's like it's I suppose it is from what I've learned over the last few years, working with lots of people, talking to you guys, talking to other coaches. It's probably the most common reason why people maybe fail to lose weight, be healthy, because I would say mentally there's something, I was going to say wrong, but it's not wrong, but you know, I mean, there's something kind of, maybe the strength isn't there, the mental strength, and maybe mindset is actually more just your mental ability to maybe do the things that you actually want to do, I guess.
All right, I'd agree with that. And I think if you looked at, like you said, not your mindset's not necessarily wrong, but I think your thinking could be wrong. And I think what people do around health and fitness is a lot of the time that their thinking is wrong. So I actually looked up what mindset actually is, the Oxford Dictionary belief on it. So it's the established set of attitudes held by someone. So it's like the way I see it before I looked at it, it was like, to me, it's like a belief. It's a thoughts. It's a belief and thoughts of a certain thing, like health and fitness. So that's what it is. So it's a person's established belief. So I think if we go from there, what is it in terms of like people's beliefs around mindset that stops them from getting to where they want to get to, do you think?
Beliefs around people. I would say people's just beliefs. I suppose it's interesting because I never really thought of it as beliefs, and I guess that's part of it. I think sometimes it's built from experience. I guess if you think about people, I'm sure everybody out there knows people who have they would consider a very positive mindset and always seem to be doing and be able to I say we're talking about weight loss and health and fitness. Maybe always seem to be able to do the things that they want to do to keep themselves fit and healthy. And there's a bit of confusion. People that are struggling, that why can they do it and I can't? And I think it's built up from experience. Maybe they weren't shown a good example when they were children. I'm sure if your parents are fantastic, but maybe they weren't healthy, and then that kind of goes into your child brain, doesn't it? Of like, this is, and maybe if I think about weight specifically, if you have a parent that struggles with weight, and maybe they've struggled and maybe they've tried lots of different tactics, and maybe that's shown you that actually weight is difficult to manage, and maybe that goes into that kind of into your brain, into your kind of like childlike brain, and it kind of spirals. It stays in there, so that brain is still the same when you're an adult, and maybe that goes into your adult life as like, managing my weight is difficult, and if that's a truth in your mindset that managing weight is difficult, then all the actions you go, well, making the right choices, that's difficult. Saying no to a second slice of cake, that's difficult. Saying I only want one pint, that's difficult. So maybe maybe it's built from experience. I'm not sure I've answered your question. I've rambled there a little bit, but that's
I think you have, and I think anyone that's listened, I don't know what the listeners are like thinking, but I think there's probably people that listen to what you've just said there and actually can relate to that. Because I think a lot of these behaviours and thought processes we do pick up from our childhood shapes our future life. So if maybe you do have a parent that struggled, and we actually know the science and statistics actually back it up. I don't know what the exact percentages are of if you have an obese parent, then the likelihood is you're going to grow up obese. Like sadly, the statistics are actually really high. So we do pick up a lot of these thought processes and behaviours from our parents. And in some cases, like some really good, obviously, behaviours and things, but at other times, some things that maybe don't serve people as they go through life. That's why, it's when children are young, it's so important those early years, because we do carry a lot of things going forward, whether that's like trauma or like from past experiences. I like the quote from Carl Jung, which is like about raising the consciousness. So until you raise basically the consciousness, you'll always go through life thinking it's fate, because we make all our decisions from our subconscious. I know this is probably getting a bit deep for health fitness, but if you've struggled for a long time and you've tried different diet plans and you've tried different workouts, you've tried all these things, it's a much deeper issue than I've just got to find the next diet plan. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think there are a lot of people out there that are searching for new things, and I get like ads on Facebook for all sorts of weird and wonderful tactics and hacks to do it. But actually, I would say that pretty much every single person I speak to actually knows how to lose weight, how to be healthy, how to exercise. I suppose it is complicated by there's lots of different things out there, and maybe that's the fitness industry that spouts out all the new best workout, the new diet, and all that. But actually,
just to interrupt, just whilst it's in my mind, it's very simple. We're complicated. As people, we're complicated. We've got all these things happening through our lives and all these experiences. So weight loss is simple, but we're complicated as people. So it's really hard to have these diet plans and these workouts that aren't individualized, that aren't necessarily dealing with the potential issue or struggle of why haven't I been able to nail this after I don't know how many attempts. So I always think it's like you've got to ask yourself again, you've got to ask yourself and be hard on yourself, tougher questions. If you want better answers, you need to ask yourself tougher questions.
Yeah, and that makes me something that I say to kind of clients quite a lot is if they are struggling, and then maybe if they're setting themselves goals and they're not achieving them, then there's a big part of their mental side of their mindset that doesn't actually want to do it and doesn't actually want to achieve. And there's a big and again, that's maybe built from experience. Maybe they'll say things like, "Well, I've always been overweight." So it's like it's part of their self-image and their
it's an identity.
Yeah, and so whenever they start to say, right, I'm gonna work with Tom, I'm gonna work with Michael or whoever, right, I'm gonna start doing all these things, and that part of them that wants to stay that way, that self-image that wants to stay unhealthy and overweight, is going, do you know what? No, you're not going to do it, and I'm going to send you lots of reasons why and lots of messages, and I'm going to make
barriers and obstacles. Yeah,
and that is all in here. And it's and like I've like you said in the title here, the mindset and the mental side of it is the most important factor. So all the rest of the stuff is just the nuts and bolts of maybe, right, we're going to do 10,000 steps. What's that?
Basic processes, isn't it? The other stuff, whatever diet plan you want to follow, and it is important to actually have like a plan and maybe make some changes. Diet shouldn't be a scary word; it's just the food you eat, so you need to make some changes. Exercise is good for your body, but all those things are processes, and they come after, not after, but you need to have the shifts in the mindset and have some different thoughts and beliefs to get to that place where you can actually move forward. And when I said earlier about like asking yourself tougher questions, like you almost have to be a little bit brutal with yourself, but it comes from a place of love, because you want to love yourself and do be a better, get in a better place, like health wise for yourself. So, you know, I like a lot of Jordan Peterson stuff, and he's like, it's important to like sit at the end of your bed and have a word with yourself, ask yourself some tough questions, like, why do I sabotage myself at weekends? Why is it at 10 o'clock at night that I go to the fridge and I know I don't want to do this, but I eat more than I should do. And again, a lot of these things can go back to, and this is like a little bit deeper, like childhoods, like maybe childhood trauma and lots of these things that happen. And I'm going to give you one story actually, because this was a real breakthrough. And I think stories are really powerful. So I was on a call with this one I used to coach. It's couples actually. Lorna, awesome client, teacher, struggled whole life. And I said to her like about one of her habits, and I said, what do you do when you get in from school? She was a teacher, and she was like, as soon as I get in from school, I go straight to the fridge. And I was just asking questions like, why'd you do that then? I don't know. And I was like, why'd you do it? Went, do you know, I think it's just a habit. And I went, okay, well, when did that start? Oh, do you know what? I think I've been doing it since I used to look after my sister. Okay, when was that? Oh, in school. So all the way back to when she used to look after her younger sister who was disabled. She was in a wheelchair. Her mum would leave some food out on the side as like a treat for Lorna. Like, this is my way of showing love. You're looking after your younger sister. Yeah. And then she carried that all the way up to she was 40 years old. Every single day after school, straight into the fridge.
Yeah, love is
having that realization, and that awareness. She broke it like that. She went to me, I don't need to do that now, do I? I went, well, what do you think? No, I don't. And it was like a massive breakthrough. And people carry these things, these habits, these behaviors, and it's until you maybe ask those questions, you don't recognize it, like raising the awareness.
Yeah, I think you're right with the word awareness, and just being aware of why you might be doing something, and maybe just questioning it, and sitting with that question of why am I doing this action? When you were talking there, the thought process with me is kind of in times in my life I've struggled. I dropped my kids off at school, and then I'd have this kind of like this feeling of not fear, but like I'm not looking forward to my day, and I kind of conflated it with maybe I'm going to miss my children. So I'd almost hang around to spend as much time with my children as I can. Then I'd get in the car and be driving to work and like feeling kind of, why do I feel sad? And the idea was maybe I don't like my work. But actually and I would always I'd have that feeling, and then I would distract myself with the radio or something, and I'd distract myself, and actually I started trying to sit with that feeling and actually questioning it and going. And it took me quite a long time to get to this point of actually questioning it, and that helped me get over that. Actually, I didn't hate my work. I was okay leaving my children, but actually it was related to maybe something I think in my childhood or related to things like that. So it was just a matter of just sitting with that feeling and actually making it bigger and making that awareness bigger.
Dude, it makes a lot of sense, because these, like I said, like these things run deep. These things run deep, and it's until you raise the awareness, until you ask those questions. Some people don't necessarily. People do things all the time, and I used to do it all the time, and I still do now. And I do things, and I'm like, why have I done that? Like, you just do it because you just unconsciously just getting on with your life, and life's busy, so you say you don't have the time to question your behaviors and thoughts, but you do. And the other thing that's really important, we learned this like from a great coach that we know, is like, you're not your thoughts. And there's a great book from Mo Gaudet, and he talks about your brain and your thoughts. That you're not your thoughts. So you can have a thought. It doesn't mean you have to listen to it and believe it. So if you tell yourself, you can't do this, or you can't lose weight, you don't have to believe that. You can go, well, that's not true. So it's really important to actually question your thought process.
And the more you question it, the stronger it gets. Because I can imagine people going, well, I could say I think I can't lose weight. And if I say to myself, well, I can lose weight, somewhere in the brain it'd be going, no, you can't. But it just takes time, doesn't it? Okay, so do you know what? Every day I'm going to tell myself this, and I'm going to say, do you know what? I can. And it's a bit like building muscle in the gym, isn't it? It's saying, right, I don't want to, the way I am now, I'm not happy with, and I want to find a way out. And so I'm going to start slowly, by the same way you build muscle in the gym. I'm going to start building this mental mindset muscle, so that I actually do all the things that I want to do, and I know that I need to do to be healthy and kind of fit and live a long, happy life.
And what you just said there is really important as well. Do the things I say I'm going to do. Because what happens is people say they're going to do something, they can't do it for whatever reason. That mindset thing comes in, the barriers and maybe excuses. And then it just goes, well, I knew I can do it. But then if you start doing the things you say you're going to do, suddenly your mindset starts shifting. You go, actually, I can do it. I can do these things. And like you say, that muscle, that mindset muscle, it's a really good way of thinking about it, actually. That mindset muscle starts to build and grow, just like your muscles do in the gym. Mr. Lefebvre just saying great insights, guys. And I absolutely agree. That's a really cool way of thinking about it. Like your muscle mindset and just showing that, because like where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you keep telling yourself you can't do something, you can't do it. It's a bit like when you say, don't think of a pink elephant. That's the saying, right? You have to think of it. So when you're always thinking you can't do it, then of course you can't do it. You're setting yourself up for failure even before you get out the starting blocks.
And something that I think comes up a lot is people don't believe that you can tell yourself something positive and it'll happen. But we do believe the negative, don't we? And a good example, an example I like is if you're getting up for an early flight, you're flying off to Marbella at 6 a.m, you've got to get up at 2 a.m, and you go to bed saying to yourself, I'm going to have a bad night's sleep, I've got to get up at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to feel really tired. And you always have a bad night's sleep, and it's like you create this through that mental side. So that side, it makes sense to people.
Prophecy, it's called, isn't it? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. So if the negative works, also the positive has to work. But I think it just takes a little bit of a leap of faith to believe that positive side, and like you said about, I'm going to set myself a target, I'm going to do it. That belief in doing those things actually just builds that confidence that you can do it, and the success builds that confidence. But again, you've got to commit to it, and like I say, you've got to do the things to build that success.
100%. And I think the other thing, like going back to what we sort of touched on a little bit earlier about having a bit of a hard look at yourself in the mirror and saying, is this who I want to be? You know, ask like, who do I want to be? What do I want my health to look like? What do I want my fitness to look like? What do I want the next 5 years to look like? Am I right now, my behaviors, my thought process, habits on par with the person I want to be? So it's important to ask that question. And I think once you've had that real hard look at the mirror and ask yourself these tough questions, like, what are you actually going to do? You're going to blame, because I think a lot of people, and I don't want this to come across judgmental because we all do it, we look to blame something externally first. We've all done it. I've certainly done it in the past. And then that kind of feels easier or nicer to ourselves than actually going, no, do you know what? That was me. I said I was going to do it. I didn't do it. It wasn't because the gyms were closed. It wasn't because of COVID. It wasn't because of it was raining. You know, I could have done those things. And then if you don't do them, you're only going to beat yourself up. And instead of raising your self-esteem, raising your confidence, because you've done what you said you're going to do, you don't do it. And then your confidence, self-esteem goes down.
Yeah. So what could people do? What practical advice could we give people? Because with this is a more, I would say, a more complicated subject than maybe
we could talk about this for hours, and I'm sure everyone would have different views on mindset and different thought processes to what we've got. Absolutely. You go first. I'm literally playing table tennis. I've batted it back to you.
Well, I suppose there's loads of standard. Yes, I'm going to use the word standard kind of mindset things that I'm sure everyone knows out there that are banded around: meditation, cold water, journaling, whatever they are. But I suppose whatever you choose to do, again, make them simple and easy to achieve. Again, that's one of the things that comes back to with us. You go, right, what can I fit into my life that I could do easily and I could do every single day? And like a really good example you said earlier was if there's something that there's a habit you're doing which is not serving your health and fitness, sitting with question, maybe just sitting for 2 or 3 minutes and questioning why you do it, and sitting there with it and not running away from the way it makes you feel. Like a good example is when people go to maybe a glass of wine or a bar of chocolate to treat themselves or to feel or to I'm just going to maybe question why you're having it. And because I think a lot of people who are doing actions which they don't want to do, which actually before it they feel bad about it. So I'm going to have this bar of chocolate, and actually I feel a bit. I know I shouldn't, and I feel a bit shit about it, but I'm going to have it anyway. And during, there might be a brief moment of like, I like the taste of it, but even during it, back in their mind somewhere, there's a little voice saying, "You should be doing this. Why are you doing it?" And then afterwards, they're beating themselves up about it. So if you can use that example and sit with it and go, you know, why am I doing this action, which is actually harming me?
Which is moving me further away from the place that I want to get to.
Yeah, and just 2-3 minutes, just sitting with it, and if it makes you feel sad, don't run away from the sad feeling. Sit there and go, do you know what? It makes me feel sad, and I'm going to feel that sadness, and I'm going to use that to maybe find out why I do this, because that's maybe one small action, but if you're doing that, you're probably doing similar actions in lots of different places. And maybe if you work that one reason out, maybe that's just going to fix it all.
Yeah, 100%. Because you say it's a small action, but it's actually potentially could be a huge breakthrough. Because if you can recognise that, and also, by the way, having a bar of chocolate every now and then is actually fine. So a lot of time people attach guilt and shame to food, whereas the truth is, like, there shouldn't be any guilt and shame attached to foods. But the more guilt and shame you feel, the worse you're going to feel by eating that bar of chocolate and think, oh, no, I shouldn't have done that. And I feel bad and beating myself up. And then that pattern will happen again. So if we can have less guilt and shame around food, then you're not going to get that. But I absolutely agree with questioning, like, is it a feeling of like emptiness, loneliness that some people try and fill with food, which is understandable because food tastes good and it's comforting.
Yeah.
It does. It tastes good and it's comforting. And one last thing I'm gonna leave, because I know, like I said, we could talk about this for ages. Being kind to yourself is absolutely huge. And a lot of these thoughts that we have go way back to cavemen times. So we only used to eat like maybe once a day, if we're lucky, and we'd hunt and we'd get all the food, and we obviously didn't have fridges, so we'd have to eat everything we had. And our brains and minds haven't actually developed. So now when we get a plate of food, our brain still thinks we've got to eat it all. And because we don't know when we're going to get our next meal. But the truth is, we do know when we're going to get the next meal, and we don't have to eat it all. So that's a shift you can do in mindset. Again, another action, and go, do you know what? I'm full. I'm satisfied. I can leave it. And if you can do that and start telling yourself you can do that, then that feels good as well, because again, it can be another shift going forwards.
I suppose it's taking control, isn't it? I'm in control of this situation, and
Yes.
and nobody wants to feel out of control. Everyone wants to go, you know, I'm controlling this, and I'm doing I'm doing the action that I actually want to do. But yeah, I think everybody watching, it just takes a bit of time, and actually, like I said, be kind to yourself. Don't overdo it. Just go right in. I'm just going to set myself a little goal, and I'm going to try it out and see what happens.
Yeah, nice. And I think what you touched on there, just it takes time. It does time, like patience. And like the thing is, we're so used to things being instant. Like Netflix is there straight away, our food's delivered straight away. Like we'd have to wait for the next episode or something. Everything's like that nowadays. So we're just not used to having patience. Whereas, unfortunately, when it comes to like weight gain, it doesn't happen overnight. It's definitely not going to come off overnight. So yeah, it does require time and patience.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. I thought. I do say so myself, and Mr. Hill, I think that was great. But no, I think there's some real good insights for anybody watching and listening to this, because it is so much more a deeper issue than struggle for people than just finding a diet plan and exercising. Because if it was that easy, we got all the information out there, everyone would be fit and healthy and have the body they'd want. So it's a lot deeper. You've got to ask yourself those questions.
All right, dude. That's great. Yeah, I can say it's a big subject, so we only had 20 minutes or so. But yeah, if any questions or anything, it'd be interesting to know. It's always interesting because you say, what do people want to know about? And they want to know about mindset. So it's definitely, people are more aware of the situation than they were.
100%. Because I think if we did this 10 years ago, I don't think mindset would be the thing that most people would want help with. It's definitely become more, I can say more popular, but more people have definitely become much more aware of mindset, and that's probably the biggest thing. Like I always think about it as like an umbrella. at the top.
Yeah.
There's the umbrella here, which is mindset, and then you have the diet, the exercise, the habits, everything else. But the mindset is the umbrella above it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Have a good day, man. And everyone, any comments, we appreciate your feedback, and hopefully everyone got some real good value from that. All right.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.
Bye.